Welcome to the Weekly Spark. It's our second episode, if you will. And I have some exciting stuff for this time to pack into 15 minutes. So far, if you guys haven't been following on the email version of the Weekly Spark, we've got some things we've been doing over the last few weeks. And if you want to catch up on those, there's a way to do that. And I'll share that with you as we get toward the end, so I don't overwhelm you with some to-dos here. But I want to get rolling. So it's a busy time of year. So thank you to those of you who were able to show up live. And that's really what today's all about, is helping us realize the importance of finding time in our schedules, right? So a lot of times we'll feel like, oh, how am I going to ever do that? I have all these things to do. Other people have things on my calendar. There are some things that I can shift, some things that I can't. So today is all about how can we create the time for the things that we've been talking about doing. And so we've been focused on how to finish 2023 strong. So we're getting there, the end. I think we've got 5 weeks left, which is crazy. Hard to think about that. It's like, where did the year go? Which seems to happen every year. So the trick is being able to be aware of what it is that we want to make sure we're doing, so that we find that time and don't let other things take over that time, which is so easy, especially for those of us who have a lot going on, which I think anybody who's here can relate. So here's the deal. We're going to focus on, okay, how do you even have awareness of what you can and can't change? I hear a lot of times, oh, I have to do this, or I can't make it because of this, or I have to do this thing instead. But the trick is to determine, is it a have to or a want to? And if you think it's a have to, what is it that's creating that feeling that you have to do it? Because most times, have tos really are things that are more shoulds, or things that other people are putting on our plates for us. And we have options. Do we take that on or do we not do it? So those are the things where I want us to be able to start to hone that muscle of choosing the things that matter most and recognizing the things that aren't really have tos. They might be shoulds, and really are things that those shoulds typically come from other people's expectations of us, or things we've seen other people doing and, oh, we should be doing that too. Well, ultimately, it's about what is the experience of life that we want to have, so that when we know what that experience is, we can start to filter out the things that don't align with that. So that's why a few weeks back, I think we're on week 3 now of the Weekly Spark email, and our second broadcast here live, is what we've been building is, what is that experience that you want to have? And the way to do that best is to start with, well, how is life feeling right now? And how do you want life to feel? What are the feelings that you want? And we did that way early in the beginning. And that's the foundation for everything. So if you haven't come up with, well, what is the feeling that I want to have? What are the feelings I want to experience? Then you can start to build in, what can I do to create that feeling? What are the things that are going to deliver that feeling? And then that becomes your litmus test. So as we were finishing this year, it was, okay, how do you want to feel either by the end of this year, and as you're going toward the end of that year, how can you sprinkle that in rather than just wait till the end of the year? Hey, Jason, good to see you. And so it's all about knowing what it is that you want to be able to filter out the rest. Because otherwise it just feels like, well, how do I know? I don't know what I want, or I don't know what I want to feel. But if you stop and think about, well, what are the things that you want instead, then you can start to shift that way. So what I want to focus on today is, let's start honing the muscle of choosing how we're spending our time, starting with knowing what the feeling is that we want instead, and using that as a litmus test, and then looking at what are the things you're spending your time on right now, and what are those things that are not meeting that. So if you think of a litmus test, right, it's, does it meet this criteria or not? If it doesn't meet that criteria, the first thing you can say is, okay, well, if it doesn't meet that criteria, what is the impact if I don't do it? Like, what's it really going to cause? For example, when I was in consulting, one of the things that we would do a lot is, networking events, or expected to be involved in the firm and other activities that are going on, in addition to the 93 other hats and expectations we had. And so it was a matter of, okay, sacrificing a lot of times the things that also are important to us. And so it's a matter of, well, when do you choose work over personal life? Or when do you choose personal life over work? Or all the other things in between. And without knowing what the experience of life you want to have instead, it's really hard to make those choices. And usually we end up just doing what other people are asking of us. Or we know that, oh, this is really important, but this person needs me to do this. So it's a matter of really thinking, okay, if this is what's important to me, this isn't really adding to that, but I know if I don't do it, there's some sort of a consequence. Is the consequence worth it? So if we say yes to one thing, we're saying no to something else. So if we say yes to going to the networking event, we're saying no to however else we could be spending that time. And so which one matters most? So there was a time where I was like, okay, so there's this thing where all these partners are going to be. It's really important that they know who I am. And then there was, but my daughter has a special event at school at the same time. So which one's going to matter most? Well, I don't want to get fired. I want to make sure that people know who I am at work. And oh yeah, my daughter will understand one day. Or no, this is really important to my kid. What happens if I don't go to this networking event? What's going to happen really? And so I thought about it and was like, is it going to ruin my career? Not really. I mean, I can recover. I can go reach out and have coffee with that person later. I can explain what was going on. They're not expecting me to present. It's just a matter of saying hello. I'll find a way to do that later, and I'm going to put this first. But if I didn't have the thought pause of, well, is this actually going to deliver the experience I want? What's it taking away from? And is what it's taking away from really worth the trade? And so, especially right now with Thanksgiving right around the corner in the US, I know some people love Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving. Some people are dreading Thanksgiving because it's putting you around people that maybe you don't love spending your time with, or you're hosting and you have all these things to do. You love hosting, but it doesn't change the fact that you've got the shopping to do. And oh my God, I forgot the butter. And oh gosh, I hope Judy brings the thing, or I'm not going to, right? So all this stuff going on. And that can consume our brains. It can consume our time. But the thing about the Weekly Spark and why I did this live, in addition to the email, is it's really honing my time too, right? Making sure that I'm connecting with you 15 minutes live every week at a minimum, because I love that. That's why I'm in this, is to help you guys be able to connect with me. The best way for you to connect with me is to know me even better, and to be able to ask me your questions and to interact with me. And as we go forward more, there's going to be more ways on these weekly Spark Lives where I'll be able to have more time for live questions. So if you have a question that I'm not able to get to in this 15 minutes, and this goes for any topic, whether it's related to this or anything else, you can always reach out at connect@journeyfuel.com. And I will always be able to answer your questions. I read all the emails that come into that inbox. And if you ever have a question, if you ever have anything related to what we're talking about or completely unrelated, maybe you're dealing with something that I'm not talking about. Maybe you're like, hey, you know what? You mentioned this thing. I can't find it. Or, you said there was this link, but I couldn't find it. Can you send it to me? Any of that, just use connect@journeyfuel.com. is always there for you. The other thing is, so today I want to explain something super exciting. So we've got our 15 minutes, and just to put a bow on it, pun intended, right? Festivities, bows, love it. That's what I like about Thanksgiving. You don't have to buy presents. You just show up and enjoy the day, right? But so the thing is for these 15 minutes, I just want to finish making the point is try to find a way and challenge yourself. So 15 minutes, can I find 15 minutes? And I can shout out to the folks that are on right now. You guys have been here every time. So I know you guys are doing a great job on that. And for the new folks, keep building that muscle. And it's all about getting that one thing that you can apply to your life. And even if you don't apply it right now, think of this as, I kind of tell folks that join, think of it as like a pick list, right? Because sometimes you go to events or things like this, and you're writing down all these notes, and it's like, oh, I want to do that, or I should do that. That's something I want to do. And then the notes go away and life takes over. And then sometimes we can feel like, I knew what I was going to do, and then I just didn't do it. Well, sometimes it's because there are so many things of, oh, all those things will work. Then we don't do any of them. So think of it as there's one thing, take one thing away, just do that one thing and know you always have those notes that you can go back to and pick something else. So don't feel obligated to do them all at once. This one, however, I would recommend putting at the top, which is to build the muscle of coming here every Wednesday for your 15 minutes and getting used to finding a way to make the time. I did a podcast that I got up to 279 episodes on. I was doing it every single day. And so there are a ton of tips on there if you guys ever want to go listen to my podcast for those. But what started it is like, I'm just going to show up every day and I'm going to do a podcast every day. So it went from 1 to 5 to 15. And before you knew it, I was at 279 episodes. And it's just because I built the muscle to do it every day. I knew if I was going to skip, then something was going to happen. I wasn't going to keep making time for that. So pick something that you're going to build your muscle with. And time is one of the biggest challenges for people. And I mentioned on the last episode of the Weekly Spark Live was when I couldn't even make, or I didn't make 5 minutes during the work week to take a pause and read a magazine to disconnect from work for months. And so could we find 5 minutes? Can we find 15 minutes every Wednesday? So I did an episode on, I'll put this on the notes in a follow-up email, but for those of you who have joined on the email list, and if not, again, connect at journeyfuel.com, I'll connect you there. But it's all about being able to shift, well, what is already at this time slot? Is it movable? What's the consequence if I don't go to that? Or can I go ask the person who leads that meeting, hey, does it have to be on Wednesdays? Can we do this on Thursdays? Can we do it at 9:15 instead of 9 in Pacific time or whatever time it is for you? And you can ask people, does it have to be at this time? Can we move it another time? Even if you're part of, there's 100 people on it. Sometimes people don't like it on Wednesdays at that time, or is it a big deal if they shift it 15 minutes later? And it's just a matter of asking. Or if you're the host of a meeting, just because you've been doing it at the same time all the time doesn't mean that you can't change it, right? That's the best part of being the host, is you have the power of the reschedule button. So that's step one, is make time for these Wednesdays, 15 minutes, challenge yourself. And then whatever we come up with is your next thing to be able to try out. And if it doesn't work, go back to your list of notes, pick something else, or email me and be able to tell me, you know what, that didn't work. I don't have any more ideas. Let me know. So there's always ways. So start with one baby step. Look at what you've chosen for the end of this year as we get even closer for your new habit swap. And if you were doing something that the goal was, what are you doing now that you can stop to make time for one of the things you want to start? If it's not working, pick something else. If it's not working because other things are getting in the way, what's getting in the way? What are the choices that you're making that's letting that get in the way? And is there a way to shift that? Or if it's just creating too much difficulty to try and do the behavior you picked, knowing the feelings you want to have, what can you pick instead that'll make it easier? Right now is not the time to do things that are super hard as we're building the muscle, right? Pick something that you can have an easy win, something that's simple. It could be wake up 2 minutes early. 2 minutes, right? Or even better, come to Wednesdays, every Wednesday, 15 minutes. And on the 15-minute mark, the exciting thing that I told you I was going to do an announcement for, and I got 1 minute left, is right now, I want you to go to soarinto24.com, SOARINTO24.com, and I will put it in the chat right now. Soarinto24.com. And your action right now, and it's okay to do this while I'm talking, is go to soarinto24.com and sign up for the event. So what I've done is, while I have these 15 minutes, I clearly have more that I want to pack in and make sure you guys have before we get to the end of the year, so you can set yourself up for a really strong 2024. It's not just about ending the year, but starting the next year. So you can read all about it, soarinto24.com, and sign up. It's going to be on a Wednesday. It'll be in replacement of our Wednesday session. It's December 6th. So sign up right now, save December 6th. It'll be 1 hour instead of 15 minutes. And my focus there is how can you set yourself up for an incredible 2024? And it'll be able to give you even more guidance with a little bit more time of how you can make that work for you in a way that you're choosing the life that you want to experience and how to make that happen. And I'll be talking about the 4 missing pieces of change that you haven't had yet, that are my secret ingredients that I discovered over time, that I've created a change formula that works every single time, that I'm going to tell you all about December 6th during our weekly spark time, but extending it for an hour. So we're at 9:15. I promise to fit this all into 15 minutes. Go to soarinto24.com. Don't put it on your to-do list. It literally takes 10 seconds to sign up. Join, you'll read all about it, and I promise you I will make it worth every minute of your time. Meanwhile, if you have questions, go to connect@journeyfuel.com. But start right now, soarinto24.com, then do the rest after that. So have a fantabulous Thanksgiving for those of you in the US. So wonderful to see you guys and my familiar faces out there. Have a fabulous Thanksgiving. And again, you can always reach out to me. So here we go, soarinto24.com, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care, guys.